Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. As you can see, I've cleaned up a little bit. We went and got about another 1,000 pounds of aluminum for structural inside for the furniture and things of that on our two boats. But we've got the jet boat back in here, and I've got the jet sitting here in place relatively close to where it's going to be. Probably going to pull it back another inch or so. But here's our 1¼ inch thick solid piece of aluminum that ultimately we're going to weld in the bottom of this boat. But what I need to do first is look at my stomp grate, how it's going to bolt up to that big block of aluminum, and see where my elevation is. Now we're going to put 3/8 UHMW poly on the bottom of this boat, but I want to make sure that my poly is flush with my stomp grate, or possibly just a little lower than my stomp grate, because that poly is not going to do me any good if it slides off a rock and tears my stomp grate out from underneath there. So I want to make sure that I got all my elevation issues straight before we go and weld anything, you know, in here permanently. But now the intake is flat, of course, okay? And I know some of you jet boat guys are looking at it and say, well, you know, he didn't start out with a delta pad. There's no flat spot to the bottom of the boat. For those of you who don't know, a delta pad is just a little bit wider than the intake itself, and it's a flat triangle that goes right down the center of the keel. It's usually about 5 feet long. Since this was going to be a low water boat, you know, I really didn't want that delta pad in there, but after a little bit more research, I really need a flat spot in front of my intake to ensure that all the water, once it gets to the end of that flat spot, is able to go right up into my intake, instead of, you know, coming off the V-nose and then all of a sudden my flat spot's up here and it just creates cavitation and creates an air pocket. That's a bad thing. We don't want that. So I'm going to cut out about a 2-foot triangle out here in front of my intake, and even though we're only 8 degrees and, you know, 8 degrees over about 16 inches is only about an inch, I still want that inch to taper out slowly and be out of the way. So I got just a little bit more playing around to do of custom fit some things together before I make my final cut, but we're going to get this drawed out. I'm going to look at my stomp grate, and we're going to get this straight and try to get it right the first time. Okay, so I don't know what I was freaking out about. I hadn't actually been out here and looked at it again since I took it out of the box. Just based on the instruction manual and the install manual, I was starting to freak out about it. I didn't know what I was going to do. But looking at it again now in real life, I totally understand. My stomp grate actually fits inside my intake block, and both of them bolt to the jet pump itself. So I'm good to go. Everything's straight. I didn't have anything to worry about to begin with. The only thing I need to make sure is that the very back of this piece of aluminum is at the back of the floor of the boat. I've got a ride plate that's going to mount here, and it'll be able to tilt up and down to raise the height of my nose and the angle of the boat as I'm going through the water, with the help of some hydraulic cylinders that are mounted right there on the edge of the pump. So, all right, I see what I got to do now. It's just a matter of doing it. Well, needless to say, we've hit the hard part. Yeah, I know it looked like a boat before, and now it looks like a pile of scrap metal. But there's a hole in the boat, and all we got to do is fill it back in. I started building framework today, as you can see, and I didn't know how much I was going to keep, how much it was going to be permanent. But you know, I got just a little bit of warp in the floor, which is no big deal. I got to do like right there, it's out of it. But I didn't know what kind of framework I wanted, and I figured by the time I cut the bottom out, that, you know, it's probably going to change the way it lays anyway. So I made the command decision to go ahead and cut it out, and then later on I will come back and next time build my framework, make sure the floor is square to the top and this piece is in square, and then I'm probably going to have to flip the boat to put in that delta pad. I might be able to spot it in from up top here, I don't know yet, but anyway, not looking forward to that. But I'm out of time, I'm out of patience right now, and I'm out of argon. So y'all have a good Memorial Day. Thank a veteran and all that. We'll see you next time, guys. Be safe.